What's going on, guys? So sometimes I get asked, why should I buy your system? Why not this drive from this website or that website? And basically today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you a comparison from my system compared to a major drive seller, and I'm going to be showing you some of the things that I've found on this particular drive. For example, just taking a quick look at it. I haven't even really dug into it, but right away I saw a few things that are worth pointing out, and this will give you a good idea of the advantages of buying my system, or some of them anyway. There are many, but this is basically a quick comparison, just some real quick things that I noticed between the two, and I'm going to be pointing out and showing you guys. So let's go ahead and get started with MAME here, and I'm going to show you right away some of the things that I came across while testing this drive. So let's go ahead and select MAME. Okay, so right off the bat, I noticed that the controller doesn't work properly. I have no control to skip letters. So here I'm going one by one game by one game, and using the D-pad to the right also does the same thing. So no difference between that and that. And if I use the joystick up and down, it doesn't do anything. Left and right, it doesn't do anything. The right joystick also doesn't respond. I'm pressing it now, it doesn't do anything. Neither do the top buttons, don't do anything either. See, I'm going there, V, T. I'm still on T. Hey, sorry guys, I had to restart Hyperspin because it froze on me there when I was messing with those top buttons. But yeah, it doesn't skip like it's supposed to, is what I was getting at. And so that's one thing I've noticed so far. The other thing is the letters. So you're supposed to be able to browse by letters, right? You hold the D-pad or joystick to the right, and then you can scroll through the different letters. Well, right now I just did that, and I'm unable to get anywhere other than A, or like it goes right to J like that. After, you can hear it in the background, it's like not really switching. I keep pressing it and it's just kind of staying there, and then it goes to 2, and then it goes back to question. So yeah, that's definitely not working right. So that's another thing I noticed. All right, let's exit that. So, and also the letters, these are using pretty much the generic letters. It doesn't have the specific MAME themed letters. So it's just a nice touch to have that, and this definitely does not have that. All right, so let's get to the real important stuff here. Let's go back out to the main menu, right? So here we go. We have MAME as your main menu, right? And then you have your MAME 4-player, and you have your good clones, and you have the adult MAME, and you have the kids MAME. Well, all of these are pretty much unnecessary. There's no reason to clog up your main menu having all these different versions of MAME when all of this stuff is right inside of MAME. And you can have it in a way that is much better than this, so that your main system here is not all clogged up and it takes you forever to get to a system that you're looking for. So let me show you guys. Let's switch over to my system and show you the difference there. Okay, so over here, let me show you guys how I implement that. First of all, I'm going to show you the those other features that I was trying to get working over there that weren't working. So here we have MAME. If you hold the joystick to the right, you get the letters, and you can actually scroll through every single one, and you can see that they're themed for MAME, right? So if I wanted to go to R or S or T or U, I just scroll to that letter, select it, and it takes me right to that letter. Okay? Then if you scroll up and down, you go you go game by game, and then if you do it to the side, you can see that it takes you through all the different letters as well. Now I'm on X, I'm on Y, I'm on Z, I'm on the numbers that went back to the beginning, I'm on A, I'm on B, etc. Okay, so those things are working perfectly. Now let's get to the important stuff here. Let me go and back out to my main systems menu. You don't see, I don't have 4 versions of MAME. There's no reason for that. So let me show you something. You go into MAME and you want to play 4-player games. Guess what? You just go into the genre and you look for your 4-player genre selection right here. 4-player games. and I have two of them because one of them is so that you can play with joysticks and controllers combined, so two players on each type, and this one is if everybody wants to be on the same type of controller. So that's a nice little feature there as well. So that takes care of the MAME 4 player from having to be in the main menu. Also, if you go back into MAME, he had a selection for MAME good clones. That's completely unnecessary. In my system, right, if you go to a game like Simpsons, let's look for the Simpsons. Alright, so here's the Simpsons, right? If you start up the Simpsons from the regular main menu, this isn't a special menu or anything, this is on the main menu. Okay, so we'll let that run through. And here we go. So, if you want to start playing, you insert your credit. And you can see that on my system, it defaults to the two-player version so that you can select your character. You don't have to have a special good clones version of MAME on the main menu for that. That's already implemented standard. Now, let me show you what happens when you try to do that on the other system. Okay, so if you try to do that over here, here's what's going to happen. Here's the regular MAME. I'm going to go in there. And I'm going to go up to the Simpsons. Now I can't use the letters on this one because they're not working. So I'm just going to manually scroll all the way up. Okay, and here's the Simpsons, right? So let's start that up.
Loading complete.
Alright, so let me go ahead and insert credit. And you can see that I can't select any other characters. I'm stuck to Marge because that's how the real arcade was. If you wanted to choose a different character, you had to move to that position or that joystick. And that's the case here because it's starting the 4-player version of this game by default. On this system, if you wanted to play the 2-player game, you have to go back out to the main menu, select the MAME good clones, and start it from there. But again, that's not necessary because you can just implement this in a way that you can just have the 2-player game as the default game that is launched from MAME, and then there's no need to have a dedicated MAME wheel on your main system because it just clogs up the wheel and then it just takes forever to find things. So that's another thing that is completely unnecessary. So right there, just with those two, if we go back here, we already knocked out any reason to have this MAME 4-player version or this Good Clones version. Okay, now MAME Kids, what is that? That's only a selection of games that have pretty much been broken out and made into its own system. So if you go in there, you're going to see that there's just a few, there's like a handful of games. I think there's maybe 80 games in here. And it's just all games that can be found in MAME already. There's no need to have this. So that's just another system that it's not really a system. It's just taking up space for no reason on your main wheel there. So if you wanted to implement this in a better way, what you can do is you can just create a genre, and you can have that as a I just started this game, a mistake. You can have that as a genre inside of MAME, and it won't be clogging up your main wheel, and it won't be using all that unnecessary space that then makes it harder for you to get to things that you're trying to get to. So that's another one that you don't really need. And finally, you have the adult one. Now again, you can have that as a genre. I don't include an actual adult selection on mine, but that's something that's real easy to do. If someone wanted it and they requested it, it's an easy thing to add. So yeah, that already takes care of all of these. So really, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MAMEs, you can just have all of these right inside of MAME, and that is the case with my systems. So now I'm going to jump back over to my system again, and I'm going to show you guys how I implement the 2-player and 4-player versions of the game one more time. So here is the main MAME game selection, right? So we already started The Simpsons from here, and you can see that you saw that you can select whatever player you wanted because it's starting the 2-player version of the game. So now if you wanted to start the 4-player version of the game, you would just go into the genre selection. You'd go down to the 4-player games, right? So I'm going to do this one here. And you go up. And there's The Simpsons again. I'm going to start that. Okay, and I'm going to insert credit. And that's player 1. So now I can't select anything else because this is a 4-player version of the game, and I'm locked down to whatever player I insert credit for, as it would have been in the real arcade. So yeah, to recap, MAME, you just need one. You go in here. If you start the game from this main menu here, it starts a 2-player version no matter which 4-player game you start. So that eliminates the need for that other 4-player MAME. And then if you want to play the 4-player version of the games, you go into the genre, you select your 4-player version right here, you play it. So that gets rid of that 4-player selection and that good clones selection of MAME that the other system has. The good clones is basically the 2-player version of the games. And then some other stuff in there like a Pac-Man, for example, that the good clone of that is actually what you want to play, not the one that's usually standard on the wheel. But again, on my system, if you go to Pac-Man, the good clone is already in the main menu, so no need for that other special version of MAME. Here it is. So if you start that up, and there you have the good version of Pac-Man that it would be in the good clones MAME version of the other system. Okay, so let's get out of here. All right, so another thing I noticed with MAME on that other system is that save states and the special pause, it's a rocket launcher pause basically, do not work correctly. So let me show you on my system what's supposed to happen. So we're going to select, we're going to exit out, I'm going to go back in. And I'm going to go up to Saxon. All right, let's start this up. Okay, so I'm going to insert credit here. Okay, so I'm going to let it play a little bit here, and then I'm going to do a save state. Now, on my systems, I have 2 keys that you can use for pause. You have a regular pause like that just straight up pauses the game. And then rocket launcher, which is what handles, the starting of the games and all that stuff in the background, has its own pause. I call it a special pause, right? So you have other options in there like save states. So for me, the way I use the system, if I want to step away, for a minute to grab a drink or something, I'll just pause it like this. No need to do the rocket launcher pause or anything. So I'll do this and I come back and I keep playing. Now, if I want to do a save state, I go into the special pause, which is this one here. Okay, and then I go over to save state, and then you can select the first slot there. Now I already have one here from previously, but I'm going to overwrite this one, so I'm going to select that one and I'm going to hit enter. And there you go, state successfully saved, right? So remember that screen is saved it on. Now if you go back into the special pause again, you can see that now the image has changed to the state that I just saved, right? So now let me exit this and let the game proceed a little further here. Okay, I'm gonna go back in now, and I'm gonna go over to load state, and I'm gonna go down and select that first slot. So now it should load to that screen capture that you see there, right? So let's select it. And there you go. It loaded right back where you saved it and where that screen capture was showing you that it should load from. Okay, let's try to do the same thing on the other system. Okay, so here we are. Let's go into MAME. Select the same game.
Loading complete.
And why there are characters of Beavis and Butthead down there when you're playing Zaxxon, I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so here we are. Let's go ahead and do a pause. Now on this one, you don't have different keys for the regular pause and the special pause. It always just takes you into the special pause. So let's go in there. And we're going to head over to save state. And this one only has one slot. On mine I have a couple that you can choose from. And that's just one that was already saved earlier. So I'm going to overwrite that one. So I'm going to go ahead and select the save state number 1 there. And it comes back here. And you get that message on the bottom that says screenshot saved. And then the game stays paused. So already that's not working correctly, because how are you supposed to unpause this now? Well, you have to go back into special pause. And then you have to exit special pause. And now it unpauses. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try to go back in and load that save state that we just made, right? Let's see what happens. Okay, so we go over to load state. Go down to load state number 1, and we select that. And nothing happens. So we're still at that screen that we left off at, right? So let's go ahead and try it one more time. Load state. Select load state number 1. Goes back here. Nothing happens. And that was just the game switching over by itself. I'll do it again so you can see that. So it's supposed to load to that same area of the game there that you see in the back there. Let's try that. It doesn't do it. It just stays right where it is. So there you go. The save states are not working for MAME on this other system. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you guys is how you not only do you not need those different versions of MAME to be clogging up your main menu, but you also do not need any sort of manufacturer or you know, any sort of collections or anything like that on your main wheel, just clogging everything up, making it real hard to get around. So a perfect example of that is, let me go back out to the main menu here.
Exit system.
All right, so if we scroll down here, okay, so you have, like, you see how you have SNK Classics and Tato Classics, and you have Tecmo and all of this stuff. This is all MAME. You have no reason for having this on here. This is already in the genre version, I'm sorry, in the genre section of MAME. So having this here, all it's doing is just clogging up your main wheel here and making it take longer for you to find what you're looking for. And the reason people do this is because they want to make it seem like their system is bigger and better, when really it is not. And they tell you that, you know, it includes 300 wheels on the main menu or 300 systems, and most of them are just duplicates or just breaking out, you know, genres from MAME and stuff like that. So to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, let me show you over in Rocket Launcher how all these systems just basically use MAME. All right, so you saw there that we had like a Tato, right? So if you look up for Tato here, you can see that if you go to the emulator tab, that's using MAME. That's using MAME. All of these are just using MAME. So these are individual wheels that you see on the menu system, right? So how many are these? I don't know. There's like a good like 20, 30-ish right here. So already you can deduct those as individual wheels or systems. They're really not. They're all just MAME. All the way down here is still MAME. Okay, let me show you another one. If we look up something like IRAM, again, all MAME. All of these systems are just MAME. You can see right there, default emulator doesn't change when I select different systems. Let me show you another one. Midway is probably a good one. Midway Classics, Graphite, Seattle, whatever you want to choose, it's all MAME. You can see that it does not change on the right there. Okay, let's switch over to my system and I'll show you how I implement this. Alright, so we're back here. Let's go back out to the main menu. Let's go into MAME. So if you wanted to do the same thing here, you go to your genre section. I'm sorry, not favorites, genre. Here we go. Atari, Capcom, Data East, IRAM, Konami, Midway. There it is. No reason to have this stuff on the main menu, clogging up space and making it seem like there's more to the system than there really is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in these systems. I'm just saying that these other guys are making it seem like they have 300 wheels, but all those wheels are just part of other systems. They're just broken out onto the main menu. And here you have the same thing. So I can do the same thing. I can call these systems or wheels. I can say, oh, I have you know, however many wheels are here, and include that as the main wheel count. But I don't do that because that's not necessarily true. These are just genres. That's exactly what they are. So all of these on that other system were basically, not all of them, but all of like the manufacturer ones, like over here. These were all in the main menu for no reason, because they don't need to be there. All right, let's go ahead and do another system now that is not MAME. So let's do SNES CD, Super Nintendo CD, right? I noticed some issues with that one as well. So I'm going to point some issues with that one out, and then one more system, and then I'm going to wrap this up, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at SNES CD on the other person's system. Okay, let's get back into Hyperspin. And okay, let's see, SNES CD. Here we go. Let's select that one. Okay, so the point of having this system is that you have CD quality audio for the Super Nintendo, right? So these games are already included in the regular Super Nintendo wheel, So you want to have this wheel so it has CD quality audio, right? Well, a bunch of these games aren't playing like they're supposed to. Let me show you a perfect example. Let's go over to S. And let's try Street Fighter 2. Alright, now pay attention and listen to the audio on this one. Alright, clearly you can see that it's not using the CD audio and it's just using the regular standard audio that you would get on a Super Nintendo. Alright, now let's go ahead and try this on my system. Okay, here we are, so let's exit MAME and let's go over to Super Nintendo CD. Let's look for Street Fighter 2, start that up. And pay attention to the audio. You can hear that it's actually using the correct CD quality audio, which is the only point to have this system. Otherwise, there's no point to it because these are already Super Nintendo games. Alright, let's go ahead and exit this. And I'm going to show you another game. Okay, so we're back here at the other system. I'm going to try the next game up, which is Castlevania. Start that up. And pay attention to the loading screen here. Oh, that one didn't even have a loading screen. Okay guys, listen to the audio so you can compare to the to my system when I put it on. I'm just gonna go ahead and get to this next part here with the music. Give it a little bit of time for the music to start playing. Yeah, and that's clearly the regular audio. That's not the CD quality audio. So let's go ahead and exit. And I'm just going to see if that didn't have a loading screen for if it was a glitch or if it really doesn't have one. Let me see. Let's start it again. Yeah, no, it doesn't have one. Okay. So let's try Street Fighter so you can look at the loading screen. I don't remember if this had one or not. That one doesn't have one either. Okay. So that's another thing. On mine, I have nice loading screens and it has all of the information filled out properly. You'll see when I launch Castlevania here what I mean. Alright, so we're back at my system here. Let's go ahead and try Castlevania. You can see you get the nice loading screen and you get all the correct information like year and the rating and all that stuff. And now just listen for the audio and you're going to see that this is actually the CD quality audio. Once the drums kick in, you can really tell. There you go. Clearly the CD quality audio, not the regular audio. All right, let's go ahead and exit. And I'm just going to show you guys one last system here, and that's going to be, what was it? It was Nintendo 64 DD. So let's go ahead and select that. Here's Nintendo 64 DD. Here's the theme. You go in, and you have the nice artwork with the cartridge and the box for everything. You have a nice pointer, nice theme. And let's start up a game so that you can see the loading screen with all the correct data. Let's try F-Zero. So if you notice, you have a nice background. You have the data over here, the year, the rating, all that stuff. And then you get your game that starts. Okay, let's go ahead and exit. And let's try the same thing on the other system. Alright, so here we are. Let's exit this one. And look for Nintendo 64 DD. Here it is. Select it. Alright, so it's a different theme. That's fine. People have preferences. So you go in. And the wheel images on this one are no good. You can't really... well, first of all, they're not in English, which is fine for some systems, but this one actually has English ones available. And also, these just don't look very good, in my opinion, anyway. And then, when you select the game, you also don't have the cartridge art and the box and all that. You just have the banner, or whatever you want to call this. And then when you select the game, right? Let's do F-Zero. Which I don't know which one it is because it's not in English. So let's see. Is it even included? Here it is. All right, so let's select it. And look at the loading screen. You have no information, no year, no genre, and there's a picture of a Joker which has nothing to do with this game. Alright guys, yes, that's going to be it for this one. As you guys can see, it's basically, there's a big difference who you purchase one of these from, okay? And on the surface, it might seem like the other person might have more system, more wheels, and you know, human instinct is to think, oh, more is better. But that's far from the truth, especially when you're dealing with an emulation system like this, with emulation setups and hyperspin. You definitely don't want to fall into the numbers game and think that 300 is better, because it actually isn't 300, as I just showed you. Half of the systems on this drive here are all MAME, and they're just being broken out into different manufacturers and stuff like that on the main menu, just to make it seem like there are more systems when in fact there aren't. And those are all things that can be accessed from the genre menu. And so there you have it, guys. And also, you know, things, little details, like including all of the information when you start up a game, so you can see the year and the rating and all that stuff. It's just nice to have. It's a nice touch, and not having random backgrounds appear for games that have nothing to do with the game you're playing. It's just not something that someone took the time to go into there and set it up properly, so that little details like that, you know, show up correctly. And of course, you have other issues with like SNES CD that I showed you, where to the unsuspecting person, they'll, you know, go in there and they'll start the game, so they're like, oh great, this works, this is great, but they're not realizing that it's not working properly. As I showed you with Street Fighter 2 and Castlevania, you know, the games start, sure, you can play them, they start, but they're not playing the correct audio. They're not playing the CD quality audio, which is the only reason to have that system added. So if you have SNES CD added on there and you're playing games from SNES CD, but you're not getting the CD quality audio, then there's no point. You might as well be playing them on the Super Nintendo wheel. So it's stuff like that, and there's a lot of that on these drives and these setups. Things that you think are working correctly, but they are not. If you really look closely, listen closely, or pay attention, and maybe once you learn a little bit more about these setups, you'll start to realize that a lot of stuff is not configured correctly. And with that, guys, I'm gonna leave you. I'm sorry, this isn't my typical kind of video, but I get asked this question a lot. And some people are kind of rude about it, and they just tell me, oh, I'm just gonna get this other system that has 300 wheels, 300 systems. And hey, if you want to do that, go ahead. But I'm pointing out to you guys why that doesn't matter, why most of those wheels are just MAME or just genres or collections from other systems that are just clogging up your main menu and making it hard for you to find what you're looking for. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.